This is Wednesday newspaper review. With me, your host, Reginah.
And I'm Emmanuel Onyango here at Romy TV Studios. Welcome, and these are our news-making headlines today in the newspaper. Revealed how supervisors ignored warning hours before Kasarani building collapsed. A supervisor in charge of the ill-fated Kasarani building twice disregarded warning from authorities to stop its construction on Tuesday. It has now emerged two women who are helping the building construction told the nation that they noticed cracks on the ground floor walls on Tuesday morning. Another construction worker who spoke to the nation said City Hall officers arrived at the site on Tuesday morning for inspection. The officers are said to have advised workers to leave the construction site immediately. However, the building supervisors reportedly asked the workers to ignore the warning and proceed with construction. Witnesses also said officers from the National Construction Authorities also attempted to stop the construction on Tuesday morning, but were chased away. Rescue efforts for victims officially began on Tuesday evening, confirming hours after a 7-story building that was under construction collapsed in Kasarani, Nairobi. The number of people trapped under the rubble is still unclear, but locals at the site said around 8 or 9 people were near the building when it came down on Tuesday. Several people, mostly construction workers, are found trapped in the rubble. Rescue workers could be seen Tuesday night as they tried to locate the victims. Excavators are also on site to help with moving heavy concrete. Those injured have been taken to St. Francis Hospital, Kasarani. Ronald Karuri, the MP of Kasarani, arrived on site following news of the building collapse. Well, now we see that there was a collapse last evening in Kasarani, whereby there was a building where it had collapsed, and it said that approximately around 8 people or 9 there are feared to be severely injured and their lives are at risk. So, do you think the measures in building right now should be taken seriously, because we have been having cases of building collapsing because of the poor building structures? So should the Kenya construction authorities be serious in what people are doing here, constructors are doing?
Yeah, they should be serious, because the lives of the people are at stake. So they should make sure the materials they are using, they have great quality, and the way they are putting the structures, it's according to the law, so that to avoid those collapsing of the buildings. Because now you see when a whole building collapses, it will really affect a lot of lives. So yeah. Now on the next story, President Ruto, Raila mass troops for House political battle. The Kenya Kwanza administration is steeling itself for tough political and legislative battles in the 2 houses of parliament in the days ahead. President William Ruto is today expected to host the 4th Kenya Kwanza Alliance parliamentary group meeting, a day after opposition leader Raila Odinga met senators allied to the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition in Nairobi. Sources told the nation that during yesterday's meeting, Mr. Odinga and the Azimio allied senators discussed plans to strengthen parliamentary oversight and keep the executive arm of the government. Both meetings came ahead of tomorrow's vote in both the Senate and the National Assembly for new members of the East African Legislative Assembly. There has been intense lobbying, with those eyeing the Arusha-based regional assembly reaching out to both Kenya Kwanza and Azimio leaders for support. During the Azimio meeting, Mr. Odinga also outlined plans for a major opposition retreat before the end of the year, where he is expected to launch a major drive to keep President Ruto's administration on its toes and ensure it delivers its promises to Kenyans. The PG meeting with opposition senators, which was chaired by Mr. Odinga, was also attached by Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka and Jubilee Secretary General Jeremiah Kioni, who represented the retired president, and Azimio Council Chairman Uhuru Kenyatta. Now, according to sources at the meeting held at Jaramogi Oginga Odinga Foundation, Mr. Odinga told the senators to remain steadfast and focused ahead of what he reportedly described as a vigorous encounter with the government to ensure that it fulfills its promises to Kenyans. The Nation had earlier reported that Mr. Odinga had given the government an ultimatum of 100 days to fulfill its pre-election promises or face resistance from Kenyans. Dr. Ruto was sworn into office on September 13th, which means his first 100 days in office will end on December 24th. It's not clear whether the retreat announced by Mr. Odinga yesterday will come within the time, but sources at yesterday's PG meeting said the gathering, which will involve all elected opposition leaders, will provide a roadmap for their actions in the coming days. Now, according to the meeting, it was all about making sure that the government of Mr. William Ruto is on check. And we saw the flag bearer of Azimio La Kenya, Azimio One Kenya coalition leader, Mr. Odinga, together with the Wiper leader, Kalonzo Musyoka. We saw them, talking to those who are members of the Azimio, the senators who are members of the Azimio, and their plan was to make sure that within their first 100 days, which will end on December 24th, for Mr. Ruto, he will have fulfilled all the promises he made to Kenyans. Of which it's a good thing. I think it will just push the current government to doing what they're supposed to do, making sure all the promises they made, they're going to keep them. So what do you think about that?
He just wants to make sure that the president, whatever he said, he's going to do, and we can see that his 100 days in office are going to end in 24th December. So what the former prime minister is doing is just pushing the president to do what he's supposed to be doing before the 100 days come to an end. And we expect much, actually. He also expects much from the president to what he said in his manifesto. And let's wait and see what he's going to do before his 100 days come to an end. In other stories, missing teacher found dead in suspected poaching deal gone sour. Police in Baringo County are investigating the death of a primary school teacher who went missing for days, only for his decomposed body to be discovered in a bush many kilometers away. On Saturday, October 29, Luka Kiplagat, 52 years, who was a teacher at Kaplelwo in Mogotio sub-county, left his home in Kabarbesi village and told his relative that he was heading to Nakuru for some errands and would be back the following day. With a bag on his back, he boarded a vehicle at Emining shopping center. It was the last time his family heard from him or saw him alive. A family member said the mobile phone of the father of 5 went off on Sunday, a day after he left home. The family suspected the phone had run out of power and waited to see him on Monday, when he was to return home. The teacher usually stayed home on weekends. He was a tutor at a school in remote village more than 20 kilometers away from his home. A colleague at the school later told the family Mr. Kiplagat had asked him to cover a class for him if he had not returned by Monday, said Vincent Kipto, a relative. The family described the tutor as a social person who had not engaged in any crime. They suspected they struck a deal with some people that may have gone sour. The family reported his disappearance at the Emining police station on November 2nd after failing to locate him and follow up report at the Mogotio police station on November 5th. At the Mogotio station, they learned about a man from Tiati constituency who had been arrested while in possession of an elephant tusk armed with an AK-47 rifle and was being held at the Cabernet police station. His accomplice had been killed while another escaped and was still at large. A WhatsApp group of more than 500 professional and local was created to help with the research for the missing teacher. Days later, relatives learned about the body of a teacher found in the far-flung Nasur village in Tiati East on the borders of Baringo Laikipia and Samburu County. The body was riddled with bullets. Mr. Lomantile said locals who saw the body reported that they had seen the teacher with 2 other locals on October 30th at a nearby shopping center, and the tutor was their visitor. The police said the arrested suspect, Auta Tikalin Lokitulia, 41 years, who was seized on November 3rd and is being detained at the Cabernet police station after Cabernet court granted detective permission to hold him for 15 days in the investigate of the killings. Okay, now we see that there's this man. Imagine a person you know just wakes up in the morning, says he's going for an errand to run, and he never comes back. It's a sad story, and all of a sudden you see that he was maybe involved in something that you never expected that is going to happen. So it's becoming a sad story for the family at large. And what do you think about this situation of about poaching and stuff in the animal sector?
I think it is not really a good idea because wildlife is part of part of the country. It's what gives us the in terms of foreign exchange. It's what promotes our country, and it is what tourists come and see. So I think when there's this poaching and killing of this wildlife, it's a bit bringing the country at a lower level, because then it means on the part of tourism it's gonna fail. Yeah. Now on to some other stories. Tycoon seeks protection in tussle over prime property. Now a businessman has written to Interior Cabinet Secretary Kithure Kindiki seeking protection in a running tussle with Equity Bank CEO James Mwangi over multi-million shilling property in Muthaiga. Mount Pleasant director and Vareli Ameshi Kamali claims ownership of the property, says he has been evicted despite the existence of a court order directing both parties in the case to maintain the status quo. Documents filed before the land court show that both Mr. Kamali and Mr. Mwangi are laying claim to the 3-acre property within an estimated current value of 555 million shillings. In a letter to Prof. Kindiki, dated November 2nd, 2022, Mr. Kamali narrates how police officers were deployed to evict guards manning the property. He claims the officers were allegedly acting on instructions from Mr. Mwangi. Illegal eviction. The trader questions why police officers were deployed to carry out an illegal eviction in the presence of a court order issued on October 19th. We seek the intervention of your good office in this matter and request that your office directs investigations and prosecution of all parties in the state employment responsible for the illegal and forceful eviction of our personnel and trespass onto our property, states the letter. He says that on October 29, 2022, at about 11 a.m., 4 armed administration police officers from the Rapid Deployment Unit RDU visited the property with instructions to evict him. The officers, he says, left the property upon being questioned about their mission, but returned in a lorry carrying 15 armed officers on November 1st. They allegedly proceeded to evict guards from the property. With the head of the RDU, Mr. Lawrence Owino, was called. He informed us that he was under instructions from James Mwangi to protect his property from possible trespassers, states the letter addressed to the CS. Mr. Kamali wants the CS to instruct the Inspector General of Police to order the removal of RDU from the property with immediate effect and ensure that he and his people have protection. In July, Mr. Mwangi secured a court order blocking his possible investigation or arrest over the disputed property. Mr. Mwangi and Mrs. Jane Wangoi Mandia also responded in the case, are reported to have bought the land for 320 million shillings in 2013. So this is an argument and a dispute of land. Mr. Mwangi, the CEO of Equity Bank, and then Mr. Kamali, who is not well known, but they are both having a dispute over this same land. So the question is, how are we to know who is the rightful owner of the land? Who is the rightful owner of the property? So I think the government should come in, Mr. Kithure Kidiki, the land CS should come in and make sure he solves the dispute between the two to avoid the issues.
This situation of land grabbing has been a situation in Kenya at the moment, because we see there's also a woman in Westland who is seeking justice for land grabbing, and the government at the moment is trying to play hard in the situation of land grabbing, and we expect to see that the government is going to is going to take care of this situation seriously, because it's not only him that is seeking to have a situation in the situation of land grabbing at the moment. We just want to see how the court is going to handle this matter. Yeah. In international news, Donald Trump pulls trigger on 2024 White House run. A combative Donald Trump launched into the 2024 White House race on Tuesday, setting the stage for a bruising Republican nomination battle after a poor midterm election showing by his hand-picked candidates weakened his grip on the party. America's comeback starts right now. The 76-year-old former president told hundreds of supporters gathered in an ornate American flag draped ballon at his palatial Mar-a-Lago residence in Florida. In order to make America great and glorious again, I'm tonight announcing my candidacy for president of the United States, Trump said, minutes after filing the official paperwork of his third presidential run. Trump's unusual early entry into the race is being seen in Washington as an attempt to get the jump on the other Republicans seeking to be party flag bearer and to stave off potential criminal charges. In very hour-long speech, Trump lauded and at times inflated his accomplishment as America's 45th president, and fired off verbal salvos against Democrat Joe Biden, who defeated him in 2020. Now we see that the former president Donald Trump wants to come back into this situation. He wants to run again for president. He seems he's not getting tired, and he wants his famous word is "Make America Great Again." He wants to come back and see how he's going to help America. Do you support this situation of him coming back again to run for presidency, or he should just let other people to run?
First, if I may ask, how long does a president stay on the seat?
In America.
In years?
In America, 4 years.
4 years?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
4 years, yeah.
Okay.
Because he took Biden it in 2020, and now he's going to finish his term in 2024.
Oh, okay.
So I guess the former president also wants to come back again and see what he's going to do, because I remember during his time many people are crying about this situation of Black Lives Matter. That's when the people are being discouraged. The people started to discourage each other. You see that the whites loved themselves more compared to the blacks. They started discriminating the blacks. Do you think when he comes back, that thing is going to come back again? Because at the moment we see that it's somehow declining.
I think, okay, according to my statistics, and according to how I understood it during Trump's reign, it was not really a good period for Black Americans, because there was some kind of mistreatment and unfairness between them, the whites and the blacks, of which both of them are Americans. But because of the Black Lives Matter, they had to really go through a rough time. So I think Trump, even if he vies for the seat, it's the citizens to decide. It's the Americans to decide if they're gonna bring him back, if he's worth back the seat. So it's upon them to decide. Now, petrol users to pay 9.94 shillings for every litre of diesel consumed. President William Ruto's administration has denied motorists a 10.94 shillings reduction per litre of petrol in a bid to slow down the runaway cost of living by cushioning key sectors of the economy that run on diesel. Now, the state opted to provide 18.79 shillings a litre subsidy on diesel, with the motorists running on petrol paying half of the financial aid. This means that petrol users will pay 9.94 shillings for every litre of diesel consumed in efforts to reduce the state burden on catering for the subsidy. Without the subsidy, the cost of a litre diesel in Nairobi would have retailed 180.82 shillings from the current 162 shillings, while a litre of petrol would have dropped to 167.36 shillings from the current of 177.3 a litre. Now, fuel prices having a big effect on inflation in Kenya, which relies heavily on diesel for public transport, power generation, and running farm machinery. That is the case. So I think that's a good, a good initiative they've made, about the petrol subsidy, of which it's just a slight drop, not really much, but I think it's fair for the motorists.
Yeah, I think it's fair because, sorry, as you can see that at the moment economy is becoming hard for the Kenyans, and everyone wants something that is going to favor them. They don't want to feel burdened at the moment.
Yeah.
We just say that the government is trying as much as possible at the moment to bring back the things in a good way so that it can favor the entire nation. In life and style today, we can say my wife has refused to have more children, and it's a story from a person who says that, and I quote, my reason for writing in today's is that I feel frustrated. My wife and I have 2 children. One is 19, another is 15. During our courtship, we planned to have at least 4 children, but my wife wasted 13 years without getting pregnant. I think she was influenced by her friends and family not to have more children. Before even I continue, this situation of being influenced by your friends, you see that your friends say, I want 2 children, I want 3 children. Now there was you agreed with your husband that you're going to get, let's say, 5 children or 6 children. Do you think this influence from friends is something that should be ignored by people?
So I think this is a matter where the family is involved, the wife's family, because the husband is saying that he thinks that it's the friends and the family who advised her not to get more children. And the husband comes from a family where they love children, and he's not satisfied with having only 2. So, and he was thinking of marrying another wife, so who can bear him children. So for me, I think he should go ahead and marry another wife, so that he can bear the children he wants, because this life is short. You don't waste your time on people who don't want to comply with what you also want. It should be mutual. So if you feel like, and he's stable financially. He's saying if we were not stable financially, I could have understood. But right now, like I'm able, I need more children. So I think, bro, life is short. So you just go for another wife who will bear children for you, and the other one can stay with the 2.
Well, you had it, because this guy is 54 years and the wife is 48 years of age, and they've been married for 22 years. And now it has reached a point that this lady does no longer want children. They say it's the end of them.
But at 48 can the wife give back?
I don't think so. So I think I'll go with the idea.
But again, she wasted 13 years.
Yeah.
So
it's a total waste. Well, that was it from the newspaper review this morning. I was your host, Emmanuel Onyango. Keep on following us at Romy TV Africa on YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram, and also on TikTok.
Being your host, Reginah. See you tomorrow, same time, same place.
And have a blessed day.